Pugilism Company. Once again, this is Reed, the Black Birch Sugar, home of the three-piece combos. We'll jump right into it. So Triple G ties Bernard Hopkins with 20 successful middleweight title defenses. That's quite an achievement. Applause to you. But then old shit-talking Abel Sanchez, man, he can't let Triple G's accomplishments stand on their own. He has to chime in and say that in a mythical matchup between Triple G and Bernard Hopkins, he thinks Golovkin's power would have been the difference. Shit-talking Abel, man, I don't recall him being this mouthy when he trained Terry Norris. Obviously, boxing media is completely different from how it was back then. There was barely an internet presence, if at all, during Norris's era. Certainly no podcasting. I get it. More media outlets, more of an opportunity to spout off. But me being the Black Birch Sugar, when I hear things that just don't jive right to me, particularly in regards to a fight that will never happen with a fighter who fought years prior to you, it kind of rubs me the wrong way. I don't see how Golovkin's power would be the difference. I mean, it's not like Bernard hasn't fought punchers. Antoine Eccles, Felix Trinidad, Antonio Tarver, Roy Jones, Kelly Pavlik, Sergey Kovalev. All of these guys could punch. And hell, Kovalev, Pavlik, Tarver, those were all at higher weights than 160. Bernard's chin is above and beyond reproach. And in the span of those fights that I mentioned, he was knocked down one time legitimately. If you want to count him getting knocked down, he got hit on the break in the first fight with Eccles and dropped. But again, that was on the break. It wasn't a legit knockdown. So I'll rattle off those names again. Eccles, Trinidad, Roy Jones, Tarver, Pavlik, Kovalev. Amongst all those noted punchers, Bernard was on the canvas once, and that was late in his career against Kovalev. Surely you're not counting the 137-year-old Bernard who got knocked through the ropes against Joe Smith. Surely not, Abel. Anyway, guys are going to say what they can to make their fighter look better, so I shouldn't even let it irk me, but, shit like that does for whatever reason. Anthony Joshua, 95% certain the Wilder fight will happen in 2018. He was interviewed in the post-fight of Tony Bellew's 5th-round KO of David Haye, and Joshua stated the only major obstacle at this point was the locale, whether it's going to be in the UK or the US. Here's my fear. It's seeming pretty obvious they're wanting to push this to the back end of 2018. And in the interim, the talk is that Joshua will fulfill his WBA mandatory against Alexander Povetkin. Sometimes, man, when you have that big fight that everybody wants to see, that mega moneymaker, biggest fight of your career, sometimes you got to go on ahead and jump on it. Povetkin's a dangerous mandatory. Dangerous. 2004 Olympic gold medalist. I mean, just YouTube his last fight against David Price. He stretched David Price. Povetkin has and always has had power in both hands. And while I'm not going to say Joshua is chinny, he was on the canvas against Klitschko, man. He was. And he hasn't looked so good against shorter guys. Well, Povetkin will be shorter than Joshua and can punch with either hand. My man's record is 34-1, 24 KOs, and that only loss came to Vlad Klitschko nearly 5 years ago. Not so sure it's the right move to forsake the Wilder fight to take this mandatory real quick against Povetkin. That is far from a gimme. I think if you want to get a fight in before Wilder, go ahead and take that Big Baby fight, debut in America. Big Baby's not going to beat Anthony Joshua. I'm not sitting here telling you Alexander Povetkin will, but again, that's a dangerous mandatory, man, and you don't want to play with fire when you have a fight as important as Joshua Wilder on the horizon. Speaking of Tony Bellew, he's beating the drum. He said he wants Andre Ward to come out of retirement and meet him at a catchweight. Not really sure where all this is coming from. Maybe it's some beef from the movie set of Creed, which they both had roles in. Instead of Tony Bellew versus Andre Ward, we can call it Pretty Ricky Conlon versus Danny Stunt Wheeler. Those are their characters from Creed. Now, Ward is retired currently. He's hosting the soon-to-be-released reboot of The Contender, which, if you recall, was formerly hosted by Sylvester Stallone and Sugar Ray Leonard. Not Wilder, but Ward, and this is per the Sun, which is an English newspaper. Per that newspaper, Ward is all in. And despite the size that Bellew has, I'm going to have to lean Ward there. I mean, Bellew's a true cruiserweight, so Ward has had a strange fixation on fighting heavyweights even. He's talked about wanting Joshua, which would be a silly fight for Joshua or Wilder or any heavyweight to take. But I think Ward's craft, his smarts, his ring IQ would get the job done against Bellew. With all due respect to Saddam Ali and Jaime Munguia, the biggest fight this coming weekend is clearly Vasyl Lomachenko against Jorge Linares, Saturday, May 12th. This will be Loma's debut at 35. And interesting note, Linares is vehemently and adamantly stating he will not quit. He's saying kill that noise on all this Lomachenko nonsense. As you recall, Nicholas Walters gave up his O when he quit against Lomachenko, as did Jason Sosa, Miguel Mariaga, and then the heartbreaker was when Guillermo Rigondeaux, who was also undefeated like Walters, gave up his O. Gosh, is giving up O's, man, but that speaks to not only the level of physical stress, but the mental stress being in the ring with Lomachenko places on you. We'll talk more in depth on that matchup as the week progresses, as we get closer to the presser, to the weigh-in, etc. I'll, as always, leave you with my prediction, and y'all can make your pockets fatter off of that. We quick hitting you today. Reed Blackbird Sugar, home of the three-piece combos, Pugilism Company. We're going to be in and out. A day in boxing history. Let's go with May 7th, 2005. On May 7th, 2005, Diego Chico Corrales fought Jose Luis Castillo for the first time. If any of you saw this fight, then it's without question one of, if not the best boxing match you've ever seen. It's right up there to me. It's right up there with Michael Carbajal versus Chiquita Gonzalez 1. It's right there with Marco Antonio Barrera versus Eric Morales 1. Arturo Gatti versus Mickey Ward 1. Corrales Castillo 1 is right there. It was one of those fights, as soon as the matchup was announced, everyone knew it would be a fight of the year candidate. And in this case, it surpassed the expectations. Man, these brothers stood right in the pocket. It was a phone booth fight for all 10 rounds it was. All 10 rounds it lasted. Phone booth warfare. Momentum shifts. Chico was the master. Chico Corrales, he was the master of them short 6-inch punches that had power on them. And they were right there close together the whole time. Momentum shifts, ups, downs. Just when it looked like Castillo is starting to dominate the course of the fight, Chico would roar back. Now, what makes this one stand out for me is the way it ended. The ending was as dramatic as a Hollywood motion picture. So with his eyes closed and swelling, Chico Corrales gets dropped twice in the 10th round. Gets up one last time, tried the whole spitting his mouthpiece deal out to buy extra time, all of that. Castillo's coming in. He's coming in to close the show hard. He's got a wounded animal in front of him. And he comes in, he fires away, and he gets clipped with a counter. And out of nowhere, Chico takes the momentum And the famous picture is of Castillo with his eyes closed. His neck is like draped over the top rope, and he's virtually out on his feet. That's when the ref ended up stopping it. To me personally, I can't recall a more abrupt shift in momentum in the course of one particular round. One man looking like he's done, dropped twice, swollen up. Don't have an answer for this guy. All of a sudden, that guy wins by TKO. Amazing. If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor and pull up Diego Chico Corrales versus Jose Luis Castillo 1, the first fight. That's it for today, y'all. Read Blackbird Sugar, representing Pugilism Company, home of the 3-piece combos. Till next time, peace.